December the 2nd. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. Welcome to Cyber Monday, and please join me in wishing Councilmember Albritton a happy birthday today.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Our first order of business is agenda item 3.1 because we do not have any presentations today. Mr. Horn.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. Review of Penny for Pinellas 4 Joint Review Committee recommendations for funding affordable housing and economic development projects. Ms. Sanderson.
Good morning, Denise Sanderson, Economic Development and Housing. Firstly, I'd like to apologize. Not attached to your agenda was the document, the funding guidelines. This is the title of the document. It will be transmitted to you separately after the meeting. So this is about the Penny 4 Affordable Housing and Economic Development Program guidelines that will go before the Board of County Commissioners on December the 10th. And if adopted as presented, the information I'm sharing with you today is the program that will be in place effective January 1. So a little bit of background to remind ourselves and those who may be watching. This item got its start initially with a referendum that was approved in November of 2017 with 83% of the approval. This establishes a 1-cent surtax known as Penny 4. Within that referendum was the set aside for 8.3%, estimated to be about $160 million over 10 years for economic development, capital projects, and affordable housing land acquisition. There are some statutory limitations regarding the use of these funds. Subsequent to that referendum was the interlocal agreement that all jurisdictions signed over the course of time. We are a party to that interlocal. And then Board of County Commissioners adopted Resolution 19-6, establishing a goal of a 50% split, or 4.15%, for each of the Affordable Housing Program and the Economic Development Program. The Joint Review Committee began meeting in March of this past year, and we met monthly through October until we took a unanimous approval vote in late October for the document that's before you, or will be shortly. Throughout that process, we heard from several subject matter experts. The experts included Bill Fruth, an economist from Polycom. Though he was not present, we did review some statements he made in 2014 vis-a-vis a video. Catherine Driver from Pinellas County Housing Finance Authority, Linda Fisher with Ford Pinellas, Barry Burton, the county administrator, and then multiple representatives of FAST, or Faith in Action for Strength Together, a religious-based organization with some keen interest in affordable housing. Jeff Dickinson with SB Friedman, a consultant hired by the county, and Steve Shoecraft with HDR, also a consultant. We reviewed several studies, the Housing Affordable Assessment Study conducted by SB Friedman and HDR, and the Economic Development Capital Project Study, again by those same consultants, and Advantage Pinellas, which is the long-range transportation plan for Ford Pinellas, which informed this document. And as I said, on October 25th, we did unanimously approve this document to move forward. In terms of the guidelines themselves, they're structured with the following funding description, a description of the Affordable Housing Program, the Economic Development Program, how funds will be awarded, monitored, and reported over time, and then the application review process. The Affordable Housing Program, I'll be brief with this one because it's pretty similar to the program that we currently have in place through the HFA, or Housing Finance Authority. It includes identification of the eligible projects, which have an established targeted income for assisted units, the requirement for the documentation and evaluation of financial need, the eligible uses of funds, which are limited to land acquisition, housing construction and rehab, the ineligible uses of funds, which include financing, administrative, and other costs, alignment with public policy goals established by the county. They have historically used a merit-based, not points-based system in evaluating projects. They do identify 3 tiers of prioritization for how projects will be viewed. And they will provide, this document also provides forms of funding assistance which are limited to ground lease and security agreements like land use restriction agreements, et cetera. The Economic Development Program, though, is completely new for the county. And it will be new for us as well as a party to this, or hopefully bringing projects forward under this program. So I'll spend a little bit more time with this one. So the eligible projects include new construction, expansion, and/or rehab of office and industrial buildings, site readiness, and public infrastructure. This is completely new. We've never used dollars for these things. It also requires financial need be documented and evaluated. The eligible uses of funds are broad, as you can see here: land acquisition, site prep, stormwater, structured parking, public infrastructure, private infrastructure, new construction or rehab, and then other, what is termed as extraordinary development costs. The ineligible uses include those non-capital expenses and cash incentives. No payments will be made directly to any employer or developer. It requires that it has alignment with public policy goals. Those public policy goals are established within this document, which require a minimum new square footage on new construction. The locational uses, so there's some geography form guidance here. And what I mean by that is Advantage Pinellas identifies premium, primary, and secondary transit corridors. This document allows, or requires rather, that projects be prioritized based on their location. So if a project were to come forward along US 19 as an example, that is considered a primary corridor that would rise toward the top for consideration. Secondary corridors perhaps would be tiered a little bit lower. Also establishes types and uses, office, industrial, etc. Requires or recommends additional local government support. And then the forms of funding and assistance include no minimum or maximum, grants, loans, or other is to be determined, and then subject to performance requirements and the typical clawback provisions that you might expect of, similar to other economic development incentive programs. The funds will be awarded and monitored over time. Again, this is pretty similar to economic development SOPs, if you will. So there will be an ongoing monitoring and reporting period. It may include site visits and inspections, an annual summary report, new awards from previous years, etc. And the awardee must submit required documentation. The process is generally going to look like this: a standard application, and this is for both, I should mention. Standard application forms will be developed. They have not yet been developed by the county. The county will solicit or accept these applications. In some cases, it may be a notice of funding availability and solicit for a period of time, or it may have an open application period. They'll be reviewed against program guidelines, and then the written agreement will be drawn up by the county. If we are a party to that, we'll obviously be a party to the agreement. If it is a county project brought forward by county staff, a resolution, or in an unincorporated area, a resolution will serve as the written agreement. And with that, happy to take any questions.
Questions of staff on Mr. Pugliese?
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Anderson, we've been talking recently, and I know that there's a sunset, but the incentive is not going to be as great, but it's still going to be out there for opportunity zones. Would opportunity zone funds be a compatible assist tool to use in conjunction with these? Could opportunity zone investment funds be used with this program?
I would say certainly insofar as what a developer or investor is bringing to the table will have sway in terms of the application itself. Is it a part of this program? Not specifically, no.
But when you looked at the expanded eligible projects, I saw a lot of those, which is exactly what I think opportunity zones now are eligible to target.
The opportunity zone in the city of Clearwater is Census Tract 259, which is sitting on a primary transit corridor consistent with Fort Pinellas' Advantage Pinellas plan. So in that respect, it will have a higher tier. Other opportunity zones throughout the county include premium transit corridor, secondary transit, or not in any kind of transit corridor.
Okay. Okay, good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, Council? Ms. Anderson, explain to us when you said that additional local government support may be needed. What does that translate to?
Well, Council, I hope to bring forward a proposal for you all to consider for an additional incentive program, which would include funds for public and private, or public infrastructure or site readiness. And these will be targeted funds within certain geographies. These will be set aside, perhaps sort of like a TIF-like policy, not a CRA. but a program where we'll be able to develop a fund so that we can invest in projects as well. This would also be consistent with Florida's Florida Job Growth Grant Fund and infrastructure program that the state has.
And you had mentioned the US 19 corridor. Do our plans for redevelopment along US 19 coincide and are compatible with the plans that the county is having for this program that you discussed?
Very much so. And I would say that the adopted plan for US 19 has certainly informed this document.
Okay. And then on the housing portion, we don't really have a lot of property here in Clearwater that would be compatible, I guess, with affordable housing projects. Are we going to be at a disadvantage, or are they going to be looking at single lots too for like Habitat for Humanity and things like that?
There is a prioritization for a minimum of 10 units, so in some respects we'll be a little bit more challenged there, but it is not required. But in terms of prioritization, within the document you'll see that it's pretty prescribed in terms of those 3 tiers of prioritization within the affordable housing program. Not so in the economic development program. It's not structured quite that same way. But in the affordable housing program, it does encourage multifamily development, mixed use, and other forms of development. Keeping in mind that the charter recommendation that is coming before you also expands our opportunity to acquire sites, donate, exchange, etc. for 5 acres or fewer, which will help us advance this program as we move forward.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Mayor, can I
I'm
ask
sorry.
one question? Denise, in the slide that's entitled Economic Development Program, and you went through the list of eligible projects. When you got down to public infrastructure, I thought I heard you say private infrastructure as well. It wasn't on the slide, so I just want to make sure that
Yes, thank
it
you.
is eligible.
It is eligible, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Agenda item 4.1.
Authorize the purchase of 19 additional police vehicles for a not-to-exceed amount of $745,000 per the recommended contracts in accordance with Clearwater Code of Ordinance Section 2.5641D, other government entities, declare surplus and authorize for disposal at auction the vehicles being replaced in accordance with Clearwater Code of Ordinances Section 2.622, authorize an increase to the current purchase order with Enforcement One, Inc. of Oldsmar, Florida, in the amount of $150,000 to provide police upfitting services for a new not-to-exceed amount of $450,000, authorize lease purchase under the city's master lease purchase agreement or internal financing via an interfund loan from the Capital Improvement Fund, whichever is deemed to be in the city's best interest, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same. Chief Slaughter.
Chief Daniel Sauter, the Police Department. So due to higher than expected repair costs associated with the Chevy Caprice vehicles, Fleet has recommended the PD accelerate their replacement. Of the issues experienced with the vehicles, the department is dealing with camshaft failures, air conditioner failures, non-resilient brake parts, associated front end problems, and this is exaggerated by a fact that these vehicles were manufactured in Australia with a plant that is no longer operational. The 19 vehicles that are being replaced, 6 of them are 2013 vehicles and 13 of them are 2014 vehicles. The mileages do range between 37 and 76,000 miles per vehicle, and we are seeking to replace them with 16 Ford Interceptor SUVs of a variety of colors, with 7 of those vehicles being hybrids and then 3 Ford Tauruses. And I have Perry with me from Fleet as well to answer any questions about the maintenance issues, and be more than happy to try to answer any questions.
Questions on 4.1. Mr. Albritton.
Yeah, when I looked at the list, I was figuring out the mileage. I mean, it's all low mileage cars. I mean, your one with the highest mileage, 76,000 for 7 years, is about 10,000. But I didn't realize that it was other issues affiliated with the Caprice, that why you're selling those.
Yes, sir. It's, Perry could probably speak to it better, but the vehicle, or this camshaft issue that seems to be one of the prevalent ones, is more related to idling. It has what's called a displacement on demand lifter. and that apparently can cause some significant issues. It's a manufacturing design problem, but it's outside of warranty, repairing them.
Yes, also, as we dug into this, we realized that the cost per mile of the maintenance of the Caprices was 52 cents a mile versus the Ford Explorers that we use now is currently 29 cents a mile. So just the maintenance part does not even address the engine issue. Just the maintenance side of it is almost double for these Caprices. And we decided that we should cut our losses based on the engine issues going forward and do the replacement now.
Okay, and these, so coming out of you have Fund 010, is that out of the police fund?
So of the financing for this, $300,000 is proposed to be out of Penny for Pinellas funds that we have available for vehicle replacements. There is about $38,000 that's coming out of a police special project code, which is related to your extra duty. We recoup some of the costs for vehicles through the extra duty program when they're used for extra duty details. And then the remaining would be through the lease purchase program. That's what currently is proposed.
Okay.
Mr. Poglace?
Thank you, Mayor. A few years back, we began replacing police vehicles with SUVs. Would that be the Fords you referred to?
That's correct.
Because that was like in, I think, 15, 16.
That's going to be our platform for the police, is the Ford Explorer Pursuit. And it's already proven half the maintenance costs. And also now we're migrating the hybrids. We're at a major transformation in the transportation industry, and that's migrating to electrification of the vehicles. We're looking at these hybrids as the bridge to all electric. And the cost on the Priuses that we had, the cost per mile were 16 cents a mile.
Well, since you brought that up, good. I'm glad we're going to one fleet. We're happy with Ford. There's a historical context involved, so we should have an expectation that they will have a longer life. When you talk about electric, so let's talk about historical context on electric, and you brought up the Priuses. What I understand, and I have a friend who has a Prius, was cheaper to get rid of it than to re-battery it. So do we have enough of a historical context and design to be confident that it's beginning? I know it's the right thing to do based on environment, but are we confident that there's enough technology's been refined and advanced enough we'll get an ROI on these electric vehicles?
Yes, here's the backside to that story. Ford is offering, with these hybrids, 8-year, 100,000-mile warranties.
Okay, that enough said. Good there.
We're obvious, sir, we're not all in on the hybrids. We're kind of blending it so we can
Yeah.
see what the kind of performance is beyond the drivetrain issues.
Okay.
This will be our test to see, it's all sales
Yeah.
talk right now
Yeah.
until we get those vehicles in our fleet and actually see what the numbers really are.
How many of the hybrids are we doing?
7.
Initially 7?
For
Okay.
this purchase, there's
For this
actually
purchase.
some in the next budget year that I think there's 6, 2, so. be
Are
total
we under
9.
contract for the next budget year, or can we use this current year with these 7 to say, okay, it's working? Oh, the warranty still will be in effect for the other ones?
The
Yeah.
warranty will still be in effect.
Okay, so never mind.
And the thought with that also is it's only a $3,500 upgrade, and with the fuel savings that we should incur in the first year, that'll cover that.
Yeah.
And thereafter, it'll be more savings.
Perfect, thank you.
Mr. Hamilton?
Well, I'll be interested to see how the hybrid holds up as under police usage, because police are known to drive hard, and they have to, in many situations, that they have to drive hard. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform, but I think it's sorry that the Caprices have such a bad, we've had such a bad experience with those, but it'll be good.
Explain, the reason we switched to the Caprice is because the Ford models that we were using weren't going to be available anymore, correct?
Yeah, this is going back to 2012,
Yeah.
when the Ford Crown Victoria was being phased out.
That's
And
what
so
it
we
was.
had
I
to make a
couldn't- yeah.
choice between the Chevy Caprice and the Dodge Charger at the time. There was some concerns about the Dodge Charger had some history of some front-end issues at that time. And the Caprice was relatively a new product line at that time. It was the name had been around, but they had taken the Pontiac G8 platform and decided to build it over in Australia, and there wasn't any history to anticipate these problems.
Okay. And then go back to the discussion on the hybrid for a second. The reason we're not doing all hybrids this time is because this is a newer model also, and
Yeah, the Ford hybrid, this SUV Interceptor model is a new one built solely for law enforcement. We had hybrids before, but they were essentially civilian vehicles used by our detectives. These are going to be police-rated, pursuit-rated SUVs that have been tested. Our officers have driven them. We believe their performance will meet our needs. As you can see, we definitely need to have some history of it in service to kind of anticipate and see what's going to.
do we know of other communities in the area or in the state that may have had these vehicles?
I wouldn't say any of them that have had them with enough history. This vehicle's just came out this last year, so it's not enough history out there to anticipate any problems.
These vehicles are purpose-built for police duty. The hybrids are.
Okay.
So.
However, so was the Caprice, so. Just,
Yeah.
Full disclosure.
All right. Mr. Warren?
Yes, one question, Chief. I think historically, everybody has always wondered if we transition to electric vehicles, how would they handle their pursuit requirements? And we have pursuit policies and procedures. Police officers don't just pursue at all costs. So could you just briefly describe, what is a reasonable expectation of how an officer is going to approach that particular situation?
so, pursuit can only be done in violent felonies, pursuing violent felonies, and so there is an expectation, of course, that pursuit is handled in a manner that is, safe and prudent and doesn't exceed the risk of the public to capture the suspect. So, there is, an expectation that your speeds are not going to be excessive. The vehicles do seem to meet kind of our performance requirements for those scenarios: handling, acceleration, the need of a vehicle, not necessarily pursuit, but to kind of not the chasing of a bad guy pursuit, but pursuing with traffic offenders tends to be the big beat up on a car. You're running radar, you hit a guy, he's speeding, you have to catch up to him. That jumping on and off the gas is what really kind of wears your cars. These cars meet our performance needs, the hybrids. The only thing with the hybrid, I think we always need to be cautious when you get to maybe a full electric vehicle, is in emergency response, you need to be able to turn that vehicle over. So there's not going to be the ability for long charging times. You need to be able to put gas in it. So that's why the hybrid technology makes more sense, because it can run off both electric and gas. So we need to be able to turn that vehicle and run it 24 hours a day if in the middle of a hurricane or something. But as far as pursuits, the vehicle would meet all of our needs. Fortunate we don't have a significant number of pursuits in Clearwater. They're pretty rare, and so we're more than well resourced with this particular vehicle.
And of course, Chief, I guess it'll give, because it's a hybrid, before you go to the all-electric, it'll give some time for the technology possibly to improve.
Rapid charge.
Yeah, okay. Consent?
Thank you.
5.1.
Approve a construction manager at risk proposal from Certus Builders of Tampa, Florida, for a guaranteed maximum price of $1,157,483.80 for construction of a restroom at Seminole Street Boat Ramp, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same. Mr. Mahoney.
Morning, Council. Tom Mahoney, Engineering Department. With the initial phase of the Seminole boat launch completed now, we are bringing forward the second phase, which will be the permanent restroom facilities. This will consist of an elevated structure due to the floodplain, and will also have an elevator due to ADA requirements. This will also require a sanitary sewer lift station due to the location of the structure. Once completed, Marine and Aviation will be responsible for the daily operations. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for staff on agenda item 5.1. Mr. Hamilton.
Yeah, you probably have the same question I have. What kind of bathrooms are we building for $1.1 million? I mean, is this going to have, are there shower facilities in here for people that are, or is it strictly bathrooms? And because of the flood requirement and having to build it, above floodplain and whatnot, I'll be honest, I'd like to see the actual architecturals of this and some of the breakdown on it, because I'm very uncomfortable at $1.1 million for a bathroom. I don't know how the rest of y'all feel.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few more questions I need answers to before I can say I'm comfortable. I'm not gonna keep this off consent in anticipation of getting the information I need between now and Thursday, but I just think $1.1 million is a lot of money for a bathroom. And I know the ADA requirement raises the price. The flood plan raises the price, but $1.1 million, how, are we putting marble fixtures and everything else in this thing, or what?
No, sir.
This is,
Yeah, the cost is certainly elevated due to the location, being on the water and below, in the floodplain.
is there a lot of utility relocation?
It has to run all new electrical. The lift station is expensive due to the location. It's requiring telemetry, which will prevent any overflows into the bay. That was a large component, and just running the power out there. The structure does have some upgraded finishes on it, but certainly no marble, nothing like that. The elevator is a high cost and requiring extra space for the control room and things like that nature. But yeah, it's an expensive construction project.
If I can get some of that information between now and Thursday.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Mr. Albritton?
Yeah, I'd like to see that as well. I was trying to find the map that was attached, and it just had a kind of an arrow showing where Seminole Boat Ramp was, but I'd like to get a little more detail as to where it is and how many, fixtures and that kind of thing.
Okay, will do.
Mr. Pugliese?
Thank you. Being a boater, yeah, it's an absolute, it's a need, it's a necessity that needs to be out there considering the investment we've already made. I wholeheartedly agree because you have families, kids, and everybody comes up, and anyway, so we need a bathroom. My concern would be, have we done because if you're in need of facility, you'll walk 500 feet, you'll walk an extra 500 feet, you'll run 500 feet. Is there consideration, did we consider or look at, because we've made improvements, not only some of the boat ramp down below, but up on the hill with additional parking lots. Would it be a big difference? Would we be able to maybe not have the elevator, not have the lift station if we built it further up in the hill towards some of the parking lots we already own?
Well, yes, you would certainly be able to eliminate the elevator and the lift station, but there's no property up there.
We did the parking, we don't own the parking lots that we repaved on the hill?
Well, those are newly constructed parking lots. That was for the actual projects. This was all delineated in the master plan originally, so.
But I mean, if we're gonna, but just off the top of your head, how many stalls it is? I mean, what is the footprint of this thing?
The structure is approximately 40 by 40 in width.
So that's
it'll have
2 parking spots, if each parking spot's 20,
20 by 10, so.
about 4 or something, maybe,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it'll have two stalls basically in each structure for the men's and women's room.
Well, for me, in addition to the other information that's been
Yeah.
requested, if we could just see the breakdown of cost, that lift station and the elevator,
Absolutely.
maybe it's worth giving up 4 parking spots on the hill.
It would actually be eight parking spaces.
Is it on 40 by
Well,
40?
10 by 20, so you've got 40, you gotta have 4 on the
Yeah.
front, and then by 20, you gotta have 2 rows, so it's 8 parking spaces.
Well, we're losing some at the bottom anyway where they would build this. Or no, that's
No.
designed for the, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's going in basically an existing island.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, just a thought.
Mr. Kondo?
I see that 141,000 of it is for general conditions.
That's contingency, I believe.
You know, contingency is 105,000.
Okay.
It says general condition supervision insurance bond. So is that just sort of
I understand that's part of the contract we have with the construction manager at risk. It's with anyone, similar to the engineer record firms. We're able to select these firms without having to incur additional costs. It'll be a guaranteed maximum price, but some of their fees are associated to the contract we have with them.
I see insurance and bonding. All right, thanks.
my colleagues took my questions, but they didn't go as far as I was going to go. I was going to say, let's hold off on this, come back with a cost to us on what it would be to go further up the hill, and then let us decide. None of us are going to be able to explain $1.1 million for a bathroom. Because while we may understand that we need the elevator and the lift station, the public is going to think we're spending $1.1 million for a bathroom. And I can tell you from my experience in the past, it's sort of like the hammer, that we're still reading about that had to be specially designed, for NASA and the Defense Department. And it's still, so I think we ought to just take this off the agenda until staff can come back to us with some other information. I mean, that's where I was when I saw this.
Yeah, I'd like to see a picture of it. Well, I think there's a lot of other questions.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
also seeing a
Yeah.
picture of it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, very well.
And see if we can put it up, and if it means that we lose 8 parking spaces, let's, and do the job for $250,000, it saves us an awful
And there's
lot.
other alternates to an elevator too.
Yeah.
There's a ramp, I mean,
Well,
there's things that could be.
I don't know that you can do
No,
I think
there's-
ADA requires,
Well, you could, but there's no space for it.
If the building's above flood.
Yeah.
You might as well move the structure if you're gonna do that, because you're gonna eat up other parking spots, so.
Well, I think, I'm happy waiting, getting the other information and move forward. But, I mean, ultimately, if we have to do the 1.1 million, I want to have every piece of ammunition available to
Yeah.
support it.
in the breakdown, it's, the elevator's costing us $500,000, because the elevator's probably going to cost them.
Well, elevator's probably $100,000 for,
Yeah, at least, yes.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I would like to kind of give you an idea of how we got here. The elevator was kind of a mid-project addition, really because some of our initial estimates of the overall project cost came in lower than we had feared. So when those numbers look good, in terms of the ability to kind of complete the waterfront redevelopment of that area there, this is essentially going where we had porta potties sitting out there for several years. So, and it is really a primary cost function of where we're building it, not what we're building. So the fact that it's going down there in a very high hazard coastal zone, the accessibility, it makes it a very expensive structure, but we felt like it was an important one to the overall project. So, but we can get you that information prior to Thursday.
Mr. Horn?
Well, I just wanted to comment on how we generally approach these projects. We always try to deliver for you all, the optimum project, and clearly there is a customer service aspect to this, given the utilization of this Seminole dock and what the public, generally needs. So, as I have said in the past, you get what you pay for. So if it sounds like you all may have less, because of the cost issue, it means that we may need to go back and reframe how we're looking at providing this amenity, if that's what's driving it. And in doing so, it may not be located where it typically would need to be located, and the impact to the customers may not be as pleasing, as it would normally if we were doing it in an alternative way. We just need to be prepared for, the kind of public criticism we typically get when people say, well, you did all this great work, why did you put the bathrooms over here? That kind of thing. Because our public will react to that. Not that we can always meet their needs, but we will try to optimize what I'm hearing from all of you and come back to you with something that gets us, as close to what your expectations are.
Well, I mean, I would see electrical problems with an elevator. It's a saltwater environment. I see maintenance problems, and we're continually rebuilding at some point our lift stations. So there's additional maintenance costs with putting superstructure or a structure that does suit the need. It's in the best location for the boaters. It's a little more convenient, but I have no problem arguing with taxpayers or giving them the explanation that, trust me, in the long run, it's okay. Just run another 5 feet. I mean,
Yeah, and with the elevator, they looked at doing a lift versus an elevator, which isn't like an open.
yeah.
It's more almost like a residential type of structure, but given the environment and the repair history of those lifts, it just didn't make any sense to spend that money on something that will break down.
Yeah.
Frequently, so that's why the elevator was selected over the lift.
Mr. Hamilton?
Well, I think a couple things are, excuse me, I'm trying to fight off a head cold here. I mean, this will be very similar to the elevator, I mean, the elements and everything at the Sand Key Sailing Center. I mean, and that elevator, you're only talking about an elevator that's gonna have to serve ground floor and the next one up. So it's not, you know, it's not, you're not having to buy the Mercedes of elevators to service that. But I think one of the important things is, you know, this was part of the overall Seminole boat launch project. And the funding for this is already there. We're not being asked to take any extra money out of reserves or anything to fund this. I just want to see that, you know, I want to see what I'm getting for the 1.1. I'm not saying I'm not in favor of it. And I think this location ultimately is probably a good location, as it's right where the boats will be launching and whatnot. So, you know, and you know, if you got a 4-year-old that really needs to go, 500 feet's a long way.
They'll pick a tree.
So it's yeah, I just want a little bit more information. I'm not saying I'm against this project in any way, shape, or form. I want to see a little more information before Thursday. And I don't necessarily feel the need to take it off the agenda for sure, but we can pull it from the agenda on Thursday night if we're not all satisfied. That's for sure.
There's also some newer porta potty, you know, like the Portland Loo and things. Did we consider things like that as opposed to a full-scale restroom?
No, I did not. I'm not certain that the master plan evaluated that, so.
We did not.
Would that be something that would be acceptable
Uh,
for what we're?
Almost any alternative to what we're constructing would be less.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it was, you know, an aesthetic functionality. This is very similar if you think about the model at the West Bay, the Bel Air Bridge. There's next to the ramps there, the county has constructed something that's very similar to what we would have. I think that was actually kind of a model for our architect.
I realize you get what you pay for, but I just think if we're going to go down this road, we need to have the breakdown about how much everything is costing us, because I know the media, you know, is going to say the city paid, you know, $1.1 million for a restroom. It's not going to say the city paid $500,000 for this and $250,000 for that and $150,000 for the fixtures that make a restroom.
Yeah, yes, we have those numbers and I'll certainly make them available.
I'm kind of with Hoyt. I mean, they said the money was available because we save money in some of the other aspects. So if we can get all the data and see the structure, you know, I can argue either way. Something.
Ms. Call.
I would just like to clarify the consensus of council, because it appears that we were at one location, we've just moved, so I just want to make sure, do we keep it on the agenda pending
Yeah, no, I
information,
haven't-
or do you want to pull it?
Yeah, I don't know that we've decided that
Okay.
yet. I'm going to say that I'm not comfortable for this, at this location, at $1.1 million. I think there are alternatives that need to be considered, and I'm not sure that they're going to be able to give us those alternatives by Thursday.
No, absolutely not.
So I would prefer that we just take it off the agenda completely until we can have all that information available to
Yeah,
us.
if you would like us to look at other locations versus just the request of having the line items. So if we're going to look at other locations, then it's going to take a little more time.
Yeah.
So.
And we got to look at demolition of the asphalt that's up.
That we just built, yes.
So if y'all are comfortable, getting that, figured, then that's fine. I just will not be able to support it,
Well, I think if we get the information, then we can justify. If it shows that we're not that far off between demolition and moving it up, even if it's saving $250,000, maybe it's still worth it to have the convenience and give them the proximity to the boat ramps, so doing it that way. So maybe taking it off the agenda, like you said, get the information so we can have a good comparative analysis, so we can be able to defend either position.
Yeah, it doesn't mean we're taking it off the agenda for months on end, but this may
Yeah.
just back it out 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, well, you probably won't see it before January.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's fine. I think we need to have all the facts so we can decide, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right, that's,
okay. So we'll take this off until January. Mr. Dell?
May I ask Tom a question about that, putting it off till January? Will we have our contractor still available to us, or this is a separate project, is it? So we won't,
This is separate construction company. So Nelson's basically off the project, and this is with a different contractor. So that won't affect, I certainly know it won't get any cheaper if, down the road, but given the economy, but to evaluate the other locations and give you all the line items, that's certainly doable, so.
And on behalf of Mr. Kokalakis, he's in Tarpon Springs and not Tarpon Springs.
Okay, we'll fix that.
Okay. So we'll take 5.1 off the agenda and move on to 5.2.
Approve the request from the owners of property addressed at 901 South Missouri Avenue and 1209 Jasmine Way, Clearwater, to vacate all of the platted alley abutting lots 6 and 7 of Block D as described in the plat titled McVeigh subdivision as recorded in Plat Book 30, page 83 of the public records of Pinellas County, Florida, and pass the appropriate ordinance on first reading. Mr. Burzak.
Good morning, Robert Burzak, Real Estate Coordinator. The proposed alley vacation will allow the property owner to move forward with future redevelopment of the site. City stakeholders have reviewed the vacation request and have no objections. Questions?
Any questions on 5.2? It will be on our agenda for sure on Thursday. 5.3.
Accept a sidewalk easement over portions of Lot 10, 11, and 12, Block 4 of Carter, Honaker, and Bears Lincoln Place addition to Clearwater as recorded in Plat Book 3, page 27 of the public records of Pinellas County, Florida, conveyed to the city by the property owner, adopt resolution 19-38, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same. Mr. Burzak again.
The subject easement provides for the public use of the sidewalk and the city property rights for maintenance, repair, and replacement of the sidewalk as the site is developed for 2 single-family homes. Questions?
Any questions on 5.3? It will be on Thursday's agenda. 5.4.
Approve an engineer of record work order to H.W. Lochner of Tampa, Florida, for design of the Morrow Causeway Bridge lighting in the amount of $166,656, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same. Mr. Hubbard.
Good morning, Christopher Hubbard, Cultural Affairs Coordinator. This is to provide this item for H.W. Lochner to provide coordination to obtain as-built and permitting requirements from FDOT and the U.S. Coast Guard waterways. This will be for the dynamic LED lighting on the Memorial Causeway Bridge. It would cover bridge columns 4, 5, 6, and 7, as well as land columns 3 and 4. Lochner would coordinate with city staff, permit agencies, manufacturers of dynamic lighting systems, and the utility owners. They would design plans using developed existing as-built and aerials from concept drawings provided by the lighting manufacturers. The plans would detail design and implementation of power and digital control wiring for the dynamic lighting that can be controlled remotely by city staff. They would also provide support through pre-bid and bid tabulation for the qualified contractor, and will provide cost estimates at each phase of their design work. This will be a 190-day project. The lion's share of that will be going through permitting with FDOT and USCG. We will advance that in ways through, we will try and advance the schedule in ways that we can directly work with Lochner on.
Any question? Mr. Albritton?
Okay, I read through this. This 190 days, this is just on completion of drawings, and then it goes out for bid, because I think, isn't Lochner just the, providing the coordination for it?
Correct. They are coordinating and providing the design. So this would be all of the permitting and design that would be later given to a contractor to manufacture this.
Okay, so is that in the schedule?
That will be a separate schedule.
That'll be a separate, so we're 190 days plus whatever it would take to put the lights in, I guess.
Challenge, right, is to get the plan in hand as quickly as possible, because we have to have that to make the DOT application. So,
Okay, it's a little longer than what we thought it was, because I think we were talking 90 days, something like that with, or were you at 6 months?
Well, I think this is the kind of response to this next level of the project. So the full permitting documents. I wish it were shorter than that, and I think, we'll be working with them if we can to.
Okay, yeah, but they'll give you deliverables on the
That's right,
type of design.
and assist us with the permitting at DOT.
Okay.
The primary staff person with this actually was at DOT for 20 years, so.
I understand. I know how that works.
Yep.
Okay.
Provide some assistance for us.
Mr. Poglace?
Dynamic lighting, so are we going to be able to get, if we prove this today, are we going to be able to get along the way? Because I noticed you said they're not going to be the entire bridge like at like Gulf to Bay and US 19, where there's a single strand of like LED. So these are different columns that are going to be individual fixtures on each column. Will they synchronize with each other? Is there a visual we're going to get to see what this may look like and what it can do?
Correct. Yes, the Lochner will be able to provide those visuals for us. We will be designing individual column lighting that can be linked together through that remote access system. So we'll be able to shift them all at one time. We would be able to do individual columns if we wanted to have alternating columns. And this is also to do some side lighting that would spread on the bottom of the superstructure that would light the bottom of the bridge. Okay. It's not like at Gulf to Bay and US 19 where it's a single strand. These are actual bulb units.
It's more like the Sunshine Skyway that just
Yes.
goes.
Yes.
Well,
Mr. Hamilton?
As I said, and my approach to this is, 190 days just to get the permitting and everything, and then you've got the installation and whatnot. This is a project that's going to last decades, so I'd rather get it right rather than getting it done fast. So I'm willing to, take the slow route to get the best product at in the end. And I'm sure they're going to be, most of this lighting will be projected up. Very little lighting will project out away from the bridge, correct?
Correct. This is focused directly, and that's why we have the professionals with Lochner that are focused on keeping that lighting on the bridge and not diffusing elsewhere.
Mr. Condiff?
The mayor mentioned the Sunshine Skyway, and we all know the cost on that, and we don't want to duplicate it here. Do we know what the total cost is going to be after the $166,000, or at least a ballpark?
Right. We do have a ballpark as far as there will be some change as far as when construction is involved and the actual how the conduits are in the panels. That's something that we would then find out with Lochner as they designed this. The highest, the one that they said was cost prohibitive as far as maintenance, was $1,166,272.50. That was the lighting with lights bristling all over the bridge. It actually aesthetically would likely be too much lighting. There would not be enough of a gradient between the lights. It would be a solid block of lighting. What we're looking for is more of that aesthetic, more that would filter in and be part of the Imagine Clearwater design so that these two areas could talk with one another and feel like a larger extension of the park.
This lighting is not going to be on top of the bridge,
It will not.
like the Sunshine Skyway
Correct.
is partly. So it'll be on the sides and underneath.
It'll be the superstructure of the bridge, which is that bottom portion of the bridge, that flat face, as well as the columns.
Clarify for us, because I don't want people to think that this is going to be finished in 190 days, because you're not sure how long DOT is going to take to give you permission after you submit the plans to them, correct?
This portion includes that DOT permitting process, so it will be permitted when it leaves this phase. It'll then go to the construction phase to be built.
But DOT may take longer than 190 days. I mean, by the time you get it to DOT,
DOT runs on their own schedule.
right. So it may take longer than 190 days.
It may. But
Okay, well, I want
we're
to make sure
hoping-
that we understand that this doesn't mean that, 190 days, we're going to be ready to go to contract.
We have been told, Mayor, that the DOT process can take up to 6 months.
So if it's 190 days for them to complete the drawings, then DOT may take another 6 months.
Correct. which
Okay.
is-
I just want people to understand, because I think there was a expectation that this was going to be ready in 190 days to go to contract.
That is their estimate. We're hoping to leverage that existing relationship with DOT on Lochner's staff. But again, as Mr. Delk said, it can take up to 6 months.
Yeah.
Permit review.
Yeah, but
is
it
in
doesn't,
there.
but
I know, you
it
can't
doesn't,
count on that.
I just want to make sure that we're not, okay. And then secondly, while we're doing all this, when you're in downtown Clearwater, the bridge that you see is not the Memorial Causeway Bridge. The bridge that you see is the Sand Key Bridge. Have we looked at anything to also do something similar there
Just before you for this
for
particular
this
item.
one? Yeah.
This
Is
is
there
an
any
Imagine Clearwater project.
No, I understand, but again, if you're imagining Clearwater, when you, in the park, or when you're in the plaza, the gateway area, what you see is the Sand Key Bridge, much more so than the Memorial Causeway Bridge. Okay, consent? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Hamel.
I guess my other question is, you kind of gave me an idea. I mean, being able to change the colors or whatever, do we have to get Coast Guard approval on some of that? Because, I mean, great, at Christmas time, it'd be great to have red and green, but red and green can be contrary to what navigational lights are supposed to be. And so do we have to get Coast Guard approval?
That'll be part of their approval package, is they will tell us which lights we cannot do.
Okay.
Mr. Cundiff.
Do we know where this idea generated from? Was it discussed in HRNA or
This came out of the ULI initiative.
as far back as you know?
Recommended lighting of the bridge.
14.
I thought it had been around for quite a while.
Consent?
Yep.
Thank you.
6.1.
Approve the annexation, initial future land use map designations of residential low and water drainage feature overlay and initial zoning atlas designation of low-medium density residential district for 1725 Owen Drive, and pass the appropriate ordinances on first reading. Ms. Motzke.
Good morning, Lauren Matzke, Planning and Development. This is a voluntary annexation for a single-family dwelling located on the east side of Owen Drive, which is just north of State Road 590. The applicant is requesting annexation in order to connect to the city's sanitary sewer service and will also receive solid waste from the city. Pinellas County will remain their water provider. The property is contiguous to city limits to the east and is therefore eligible for annexation.
Any questions on agenda item 6.1? Our meeting on Thursday is December the 5th. We'll see you then.
Sure.
7.1, Ms. Call.
Appoint Phil Henderson to the Marine Advisory Board as the ex officio member with a term to expire December 31st, 2023. Council members, in your agenda packs, you had a copy of his application. As you can see, he does have some background that would provide some expertise to the board.
Any questions? Consent?
Yes.
Put that one on consent. 7.2.
Appoint Andrew Laurenti to the Library Board to fill the remainder of an unexpired term through February 28, 2021. Council members, in your agenda pack, excuse me, you had an application from Mr. Laurenti to fill this vacancy.
Any questions on 7.2? Consent? 7.3.
Appoint Kelly O'Donnell to the Air Park Advisory Board as an ex officio member with term to expire December 31st, 2023. Council members, in your agenda pack, you had an application from Ms. O'Donnell, and she provides also some expertise that's currently not available on the board.
Is this to fill the, I'm sorry, questions, counsel? Is this to fill,
This is actually the ex officio category that she created at the last council
okay.
meeting, so
because
she,
I understand that one of the members is.
I will be
yeah.
meeting with council one-on-one to discuss that matter.
Okay. Because, let's talk this out a little further, because the gentleman who is, had to resign was a pilot.
Career pilot.
Yeah. And he would fit in this category as an ex officio.
And there's a limitation on how many ex officio members. I have discussed with the city manager, and he has suggested I speak one-on-one with you to determine if you want more than one ex officio member. But this is, she was the reason why the ex officio category was created. So since the ordinance was adopted by council, the individual in question, his name is escaping me right now, but he has moved out of city limits. So you can have more than one ex officio member if that's what council chooses. She's a younger individual who is obviously may not be a pilot, but is recreational. She has been providing a lot of interest and has been attending the board meetings. She has been providing some feedback, and Mr. Chesney believes that she would provide a perspective that is currently not available.
And I understand we really don't have a written policy or anything like that on how many ex officios, but do ex officios not have voting rights? They're strictly for.
Voice and no vote.
Huh?
Voice and
Voice
no
and no
vote.
And
Voice
no
but no vote. Okay.
I mean, I don't know that I want to have a board with 2, 3, 4, 5 ex officio members. I think one is more than enough personally, but.
Well, and I know that the other individual you mentioned is very interested in
Yeah.
remaining on the board, even though he's now no longer a
And
resident of
he's a
Clearwater.
former Clearwater resident, whereas this person has never lived in Clearwater?
No, she does not reside in Clearwater. She hopes to one day reside in Clearwater, but at the moment, she's a younger individual as well, so just a different perspective. Now, I can pull this and bring both applications before you at the next council meeting, and you decide and have that discussion publicly then.
Thoughts on that, council?
I'd like to hear Mr. Chesney's perspective on why you thought she would be a good fit and what's currently missing
Oh,
on
I
the
didn't
board.
see Mr. Chesney here. Hi.
Good morning, Ed Chesney, Marine Aviation. Yes, Ms. O'Donnell has been active on our board. She comes to every meeting. She's probably the most active of our, as far as discussion that she brings to the board. She is a pilot. She's a young pilot, a very accomplished young individual. And at the last meeting, when the member told us he was no longer interested, or no longer could be on the board because he had moved, I asked him about the ex officio position. He did not want it if it were to take it away from Ms. O'Donnell. So he was aware that there was one position available that we had set the groundwork for her, so he did not want to bump her. So that's why if we could have two, he would be interested. So it's a little complex, but I brought that up at the last Air Park meeting about he being the ex officio. So he was aware that he would take it from Ms. O'Donnell, whom we all created it for.
Okay.
For this first one, so.
But from my perspective, I don't think we ought to be creating ex officio positions, for every board, just because somebody moves out of town and still interested. I mean, like I say, then you'll end up with more ex officio members than members in some instances.
Well, you won't be able to have more ex officio members, because then if you don't have members, then you won't be able to call, you won't have quorum.
Well, but
So technically,
There's-
we won't allow that to happen.
I
But
added
understand
salt
the
and
concern.
pepper to my story, Ms. Call, to spice it up a little bit.
I know.
But when Rose and I had the conversation, it became pretty obvious that you all needed to give us some guidance on what your limit was going to be on
Yeah.
ex officio. Because, you could have other members
Yeah.
on the board who, because they're such enthusiasts and have been associated with the board for a long time,
Right.
for whatever reason, move out and want to continue to be involved. That would be at least if they want to be on the board, that would be a mechanism for them to do that.
And that was never the intent of creating the position to
Yeah.
begin with.
Okay. All right, so this lady is Mr. Chesney, I'm sorry, this lady is a pilot.
Yes, she is.
Okay.
And involved.
And involved.
Very involved, yes.
Okay.
And the reason, the reason I really push the ex officio for the Air Park Board is because it's more of a regional draw, for the city to have the advisory board just limited to city residents, when we draw so many pilots in from around the county, it's different than maybe a library board or somebody where there's libraries everywhere. So we have so many users that are regional to the air park that it was hard to get people that were just Clearwater residents, the right people, the right fit, that were very helpful to the board. So that's why I approached Rose to bring in this young lady pilot. She is in St. Petersburg at the moment, for that expertise that we really lack to get a lot of, if you go just to Clearwater residents, we really had no applicants.
All right. So I will ask if this is okay on consent, given the information that was provided, or do you want to wait and?
No, I think.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
And
Okay.
I would be interested, especially on this, for this board specifically, be amenable to possibly having more than one ex officio member on it, just because I know that the other individual, while he and his wife have moved out of Clearwater, he's still a tenant. He's still a pilot, still a tenant at the air park. His expertise is probably, I can't speak for the entire board, but I would think, his expertise is huge compared to some of the other people on the board. So, I mean, I'd be interested and I'd be willing to look at considering a second ex officio member, but if it's not the flavor of the council, then.
I hear you. I don't disagree with the gentleman's, background and interest, but I think that opens us up to creating positions, ex officio positions, for more than one person. I just don't think that's good policy. Consent on 7.3.
Yes.
7.4.
Appoint Carrie Fuller to the Municipal Code Enforcement Board to fill the remainder of an unexpired term through October 31st, 2021. Council members, Mr. Barnes, Jonathan Barnes was serving this position, and he has resigned. And in your agenda package, you had an application for Ms. Fuller. She is a realtor, a real estate consultant, and we do have one other member in that category, but I think, given the background that Mr. Barnes has, she fills the requirements of the board.
Questions? Consent on 7.4?
Yes.
7.5.
Disband the Charter Review Committee. Council members, as you are aware, the committee members have already come and provided your report, or provided the report to council. They have been serving since February of this year through November, and unless council provides them an additional assignment, they are currently still under the Sunshine Law, so I'd like to go ahead and disband them so they can at least talk to each other and advocate whatever.
Do we need to have a resolution for that?
No resolution, I
Just a
just
motion?
need a motion so I can place it on consent if that's the pleasure of the board.
Is that okay to put on consent?
Yes.
Okay. 8.1, through 8.12, 8.11 are second readings. Any questions on the second readings, 8.1 through 8.11?
No.
Miss Aiken is having some eye surgery today. She is not here. Any question, or Mr. Hall, 8.12?
8.12 is item TMP-017, approve referendum questions to appear on the ballot March 17, 2020 regarding changes to the city charter and pass ordinances 9353-19, 9354-19, and 9355-19 on first reading.
Any questions of staff on 8.12? Clarify for us, if we make any changes, then does that push us back another?
It'll have to be re-advertised.
So we have to, then it wouldn't be on the ballot because we run out of time.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other business for us? Mr. Hall? Mr. Horn?
No.
Comment, any issues, council? If not, again, happy Cyber Monday. We are adjourned until Thursday at 6 o'clock. Happy birthday, David.